Hey everyone, welcome back to Coding for Kids. Today we're going to be talking about the motion blocks in Scratch. So in order to do that, first we have to start a new project. So I'm going to go to the top here and click Create. And then a new project opens up. So the first set of blocks you have are the motion blocks. They're the blue blocks on the left right here. These blocks are in charge of making the cat move. Not just the cat, any sprite move around the screen. So for example, the first block is move 10 steps. So when I click move 10 steps, the cat is going to move forward 10 steps in the direction that it's facing. So right now it's facing to the right. So when I click move 10 steps, the cat is going to move 10 steps to the right. And you can see that right there. If I want the cat to move left, I just have to change this to a -10, and then the cat is going to move to the left, just like that. The cat doesn't turn around when it's moving to the left because I never changed its direction. That's why it just moves backward. And by the way, you guys don't have to have a control or an event block every time. You can just click on the block to make that block happen. So I can just click on move -10 steps to make the cat move -10 steps. Okay, the next block we have is the turn blocks. So these blocks make the cat rotate in place. So when I click this, you guys can see the cat actually change which way it's facing. So when I click that, you can now see that the cat is facing 15 degrees below what it was facing previously. So if I keep clicking that, eventually the cat is going to make a complete rotation. So a full circle, just like that. And then this block does the same exact thing, except it does it the other way. So this is counterclockwise and this is clockwise. And if I wanted to, you could change this to like 180 degrees so that the cat only takes 2 steps to go back to the direction it was facing, just like that. Okay, let me get rid of these. Okay, this block makes the cat go to a random position. So you're not going to be in charge of controlling where the cat goes. Instead, Scratch is going to pick for you. So the cat is going to go wherever Scratch decides it should go. So when I click this, it's going to go to random spots every time. And I can not only do random position, but if I click on the drop-down menu, I can change it to the mouse pointer. So when I click this, the cat is going to go to the mouse pointer. So the reason the cat is stuck here is because my mouse pointer is right here. So that's the closest the cat can get to my mouse pointer. That's why it's stuck right there. But if I do it like right here, it's going to go somewhere down here because it's trying to get as close to my mouse pointer as possible. So this is basically a 2-in-1 block because you can go to a random position or you can go to a mouse pointer. This next block is very similar to this block because it makes the cat go to a certain position. But this time you get to type in the X and Y coordinates of where you want the cat to go. So the backdrop in Scratch is basically a coordinate plane. So 0, 0 is the origin, which is roughly in the middle of the backdrop. And based on what coordinates you type in, the cat is going to go to that coordinate. And this is the same structure that we talked about in the fundamentals class. So for example, the cat is in this bottom left corner right now, which is -240, -151. So if I want the cat to go back to the center, I just have to type in 0, 0, and then it's going to go back to the center. If I want the cat to go to the top right corner, I can probably type in like 185, 185, and that makes the cat go to the top right corner. So it's important to remember that the coordinate system on Scratch is 400 pixels wide, so -200 to +200, and on the y-axis it's also -200 to +200. That's why it's a square. And then if you wanted to go back to the origin, you just have to type in 0, 0, and that will make it go back to the origin. Okay, this next block is really similar to the go to blocks because this also makes the cat go to that position. But instead of it happening immediately, the cat is going to glide to that position. So right now, I have it set to random position. So you can, when you click it, it's going to glide to that random position. And it's always going to take 1 second to glide to that random position. If I want the glide to be shorter, I can change the time duration so that it's shorter, and it's going to take less time to move to that random position. And you can also do the same thing, but this time have it move to the mouse pointer. So when I put it up here, it's going to move to my, or get as close as possible to my mouse pointer. Very similar to this block right here, except it glides. Okay, this block is the exact same thing as this block, except it glides instead of going to that coordinate position immediately. So for example, right now the cat is at -240, 112. So if I change this to 0, 0, instead of moving to the origin instantly like this block made it do, it's going to glide to the origin. So when I click on it, you can see that it glides to the origin, and it takes 1 second to do so. This block controls which direction the cat is facing. So right now the cat is facing to the right, which is 90 degrees. If I want it to face down, I just have to click on this and then turn this arrow or drag this arrow so that it points down, and then just click on the block to make it happen, and the cat now faces down. If I want it to go back, I can just drag this to here and then click on it, and it goes back to facing to the right like it was. And same thing, if I wanted to face upwards, I just have to drag it to 0 degrees, click on it, and then the cat now faces upwards. And then this thing is also really similar, except this time it's going to point towards the mouse pointer. So as you can see right there and right there, it's going to change its direction so that it faces the mouse pointer. So if I put it up here, it's going to turn, except this time the cat isn't going to move like it did when we used this block. Instead of going as close to the mouse pointer as possible, it's just going to point towards the mouse pointer. So just look at it, look in its direction. Okay, these blocks are in charge of controlling the cat's position on the coordinate plane. So right now the cat is at 0, 0, the origin, and I know that because it tells me right here that the x-coordinate is 0 and the y-coordinate is 0. So instead of having the cat move 10 steps to the right, I can have it change x by 10. So I'm just going to reset its direction so that it looks normal. I'm just going to type it in. Just like that. Okay, if I do change x by 10, the cat's position is going to go to the right by +10. So you can see that right there. So what this means is that it does pretty much the same exact thing as the move 10 steps block. And I could change this value like I could for all the other blocks. So I could make this 25 steps, and this time the cat is going to move 25 steps to the right. So currently its x-coordinate is 10. So if it moves 25 steps to the right, its x-coordinate should be 35. And you can see that there. You can see how the x-coordinate changed to 35. And this block is similar to this block because it also controls the cat's position, but instead of changing it, it's going to set it. So right now the cat's x value is 35. So if I click this, it's going to go back to 0. These two blocks do the same exact thing, but on the y-axis. So right now the y position is 0, or the y value is 0. So when I do change y by 10, it's going to go up 10 units, and you can see that right there. And I can make it a negative, and then it goes down 10 units. And then this sets the y value instead of changing it. So right now it's 0, so I could make it 200, and it's going to go all the way to the top like that. I want it back at the origin, so I'm just going to type in a 0 there, and it comes back to the origin, just like that. Okay, this block is kind of hard to demonstrate because you need to put it in a forever loop, but basically what this block does is when the cat reaches the edge of the screen, it's going to bounce and then turn around and move in the opposite direction. So this just makes sure that the cat doesn't go off the screen when you have it moving like 500 steps, because the range of the screen is only 400 steps. So if the cat was right here, it would take 400 steps to go here. But if you had like 405 or 410 or any number that's more than 400, the cat's going to go off the screen. So in order to prevent that, you can use this block so that when the cat reaches the edge of the screen, it's going to just smack into it, turn around, and go the opposite direction. And this block isn't really that important because we don't really use it in our projects a whole lot. But these blocks are kind of important, these two especially, because they record the cat's X and Y position. So every time you see a circle like this, it means that it can be placed into another block. So for example, you could put it into this block where it has circles, so you can just drop that in there so that it records the X position. So what these values do is that they represent variables. That means they change as the X position and the Y position of the cat change. So right now you can see that the X position is 14 and the Y position is negative 14. I can move the cat to a random location and then the X position changes to negative 184 and the Y position changes to 103. So what these blocks are doing is that as the cat's X and Y position is changing, they're keeping track of that and adjusting their values so that they represent a different value, which reflects the position of the cat. And direction is the same thing, except since it's facing 90 degrees right now, it's going to say 90, but unless you change this, it's always going to say 90. But if you change it back, it's going to say 90 again. So those are pretty much all the motion blocks. Soon we're going to be making videos for the other blocks, going into more depth. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for joining me.